What's up, everybody? This is Elan Jones, and today I want to talk about Oprah and her background. Oprah has been in the news lately. So has her friend Gail. So has their friend Harvey Weinstein. These people are all wealthy. They're all part of the 1%, and they have unique personalities. And elites, they recognize each other. They're attracted to one another, and they hang in the same circles. So you'll find that people with certain personality types will hang out with others who are like them. But back to Oprah. I want to get into Oprah's early life to get an idea of what shaped her personality and what makes Oprah Oprah. So Oprah was born to teenage parents who conceived her after a one-night stand. Oprah is from the South. She's from Mississippi. She lived on a pig farm with her grandmother until about 7 years old, and then she bounced around as a kid, living with different family members in different states. Oprah said that this was really hard for her. She also said that her grandmother used to whip her really badly until she bled, and then she would get beat again for bleeding on her clothes. Oprah's family was poor, and they couldn't afford much. She used to wear overalls made out of potato sacks, and people used to call her Sack Girl. She also couldn't afford toys, so she used to make her own dolls from dried corn cob. Oprah said, "I grew up in an environment where children were seen and not heard. So this caused her to retreat and look for engagement in other places," according to The Guardian. They said that instead of having typical farm animals as her pets, Oprah had pet cockroaches instead. Oprah also said that she experienced colorism.
You got long hair, straight hair,
But for the
and
best
you're
of us.
pretty. Nobody had ever seen anybody like me on the air who was just an average-looking black person, gorgeous though I am. But you know what I mean? No frills, no whatever. And I look back at some of my videotape, I don't know how I got to be successful.
So around the time when Oprah went to live with her mother, who was renting a room at one point, she told the Huffington Post, quote, "I remember the first night entering into that house and being told I wouldn't be able to sleep with my mother and I wouldn't be able to sleep inside the house." She said, "There was a little porch before you actually got inside the house. I was put outside to sleep there," unquote. Oprah said that she was confused at first, but later on she realized exactly what was going on. "My mother was boarding with this very light-skinned black woman who could have passed for white. I could tell instantly when I walked in the room that she didn't like me. It was because of the color of my skin." So Oprah looks a similar complexion as her mother, so I'm not sure why she was asked to sleep outside that night, but it doesn't seem to be skin color related. Also, I talk about colorism a lot on this channel, and I've mentioned in the past how brown women can say that colorism exists in situations based off of their feelings alone. Now, light-skinned women can do that too, and they do that too, but they usually have hard supporting evidence of colorism, such as a statement about them being light-skinned, like, "I hate these light-skinned bitches," or "F these light-skinned bitches." Which dark-skinned people, they say this. Darker-skinned people say things like this often. And there are many, many other statements like this, microaggressions that light-skinned people have to hear on a regular basis, but the community won't be honest about that. And overall, there's little to no evidence when it comes to dark-skinned people when they claim colorism. Moving on, Oprah talks about sexual assault. At one point, she said that, "I was living in Milwaukee that summer, staying at an uncle's home when a 19-year-old cousin raped me. As I trembled and cried, he took me for ice cream and convinced me not to tell, and for 12 years I didn't." Oprah told Letterman she was also molested by various relatives when she was between the ages of 10 and 14. After getting pregnant at 14, she tried to drink laundry detergent in an attempt to terminate the pregnancy. She said, "I became pregnant and hid the pregnancy. I'd intended to kill myself, actually. I thought there's no other way than killing myself." She ended up giving birth but she lost the child shortly after, and it was a baby boy. Oprah said this, that she had, quote unquote, no connection to the baby whatsoever. So in her eyes, losing the child was a blessing in disguise. She said, when the baby died, I knew that it was my second chance. I didn't want babies. I wouldn't have been a good mom for babies. I don't have the patience. I have the patience for puppies, but that's a quick stage. When Oprah worked up the courage to tell her family about the possibility of her favorite uncle being the father of her child, they brushed off her allegations. She said, because I had been involved in sexual promiscuity, they thought if anything had happened, it had to be my fault. So far, Oprah has a history of poverty, skin color-based insecurities, incest, and rape. Now moving on to drugs. Oprah was filming a program about drug addicts who were in recovery back in January 1995 via the Washington Post. After one woman shared her story of smoking crack cocaine, Oprah said she also went through a period of drug use with an ex-boyfriend. On the Today Show, Oprah said, quote, I had used drugs in my 20s with my boyfriend, and I was more addicted to the boyfriend than I was to the drugs, unquote. Oprah was asked about which drug it was, and she said that it was called freebasing back then, not crack. So Oprah used to smoke a earlier version of crack in her 20s, which I thought was really, really surprising. I never knew that about her. So another thing that I thought was interesting was how Oprah was with her mother around the time when her mother was about to pass. So Oprah opened up to People, I'm assuming that's People magazine, about spending time with her mother during her last days in hospice care. She said, quote, I sat with my mother. I said, I don't know if you're going to make it. Do you think you're going to make it? Her mom said, I don't think I am. Oprah said, I had a conversation with her about what it felt like to be near the end. I started telling all the people who cared about her that she knows it's the end, so if you want to say goodbye, you should come and say goodbye. I think that that's an interesting conversation to have with your mother who's dying. And I think that those are interesting questions to ask. So I'm going to stop there. I think that that's enough information to get a sense of who Oprah Winfrey is, what shaped her to be who she is today. It might give a little bit of insight into what it is that she cares a lot about, what she doesn't, or who she doesn't care too much for, and why her work has certain themes.
Did you ever wish you were white?
Yeah, I did. I was growing up in Mississippi, and it's the kind of thing that I hesitate to say because when you say it, all the black groups call you and say, how dare you say it? But yes, I did.